Well. You're listening to Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright then, I may say words on point, straightforward. No jibber jabber, everybody forward. Issues, facts and solution. Get it at Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright, what other thing is a revolution? Get it on point with Professor Buitrón. Gloves Off, no nonsense issues, politics, community. A better men follow reader. Gloves Off, a revolutionary show with everything that you need to know. With Professor Buitrón. Watch ya!
Gloves Off is always on point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by the best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off.
Gloves Off. I'm Professor Buitrón, and I'm here with Stephen, and we're talking about interference with child custody. It is a subject matter that affects many parents throughout the United States, but more especially here in Texas also as well, and in South Texas, Laredo to be precise, there's a huge abuse. So that's what we're going to be talking about. How are we doing? You doing good?
Doing good. Thank you.
It's a pleasure meeting you. And I'm sorry that you're going through this, but I want to see what's been going on. Explain to me what has been occurring with you.
It's like, obviously it's been happening for multiple years already, where the mother of my daughter doesn't, either tells me I can't see my child on a certain weekend, even though the court papers state that as long as I give her the 2 weeks notice that I get my weekend. But I've shown up, I travel all the way to San Antonio, I show up and she's either not there, knowing that I'm supposed to be there, she's supposed to be there at 6 o'clock, or she's out of town, or she is there and she just simply won't give me my daughter.
And when you get into stuff like this, what have you seen? What are your steps that you're taking? Of course, this hurts, because it hurts people that go through this. And people need to understand that this is a form of parent alienation, okay? And people need to understand that interference with child custody or visitation rights, it's actually a felony in the state of Texas. It's Penal Code 25.03. And it's a lot of police agencies will not enforce it. And that's a problem that we have. It was made into law, and still there's a lot of kicking the can from one agency to another. So people tend to abuse it, right? Mm-hmm. So what did this last happen to you, Stephen?
This recent one was about 3 weeks ago. The same thing, I gave the whole 2 week notice. I went over there and per purposely she wasn't there at 6 o'clock. I called the police over there in San Antonio, telling them about the violation. They said it's a civil matter. I tried still like talking to them, like, where is my daughter? The court papers say this, but nowhere was she to be found. I couldn't even see my daughter, like not even from the outside of the house, the window, or anything like that, because she wasn't physically there. So that's the last time that this recently happened.
You see, a lot of times, a lot of steps occur. Most police are going to say that this is a civil matter, and it's not. And to them, not enforcing a felony is aiding a felon. So what, in my opinion, and the opinion of many others, but this is a problem that goes on because your court documents are from Webb County, correct?
Yes.
And the mother of your child now resides in San Antonio?
In Bear County.
In Bear County? Has she come back here or no, or she resides only over there?
She resides over there, but it was her decision to keep the paperwork here in Webb County.
Have you gone back to court?
I just recently went back to court in September, if I'm not mistaken, to renew my child support papers, everything, and nothing changed as far as my visitation, so it still stayed here in Webb. And then she wasn't even here because she lives in San Antonio, so our communication was through telephone.
And what did the judge say when that was going on? What was her main reaction? Do the judges even care about the visitation, or they just care simply about
They just care about the paperwork. As long as the two parties agree to what the paperwork says, and they didn't even ask her if she resides here in Webb or in San Antonio. She just said that she's going to do it through communication, so that's all they care about is the paperwork.
And what else do you see that needs to happen with that? Do you think that judges need to be more enforceful about the visitation, or do you think the police
the judge as well as the law enforcement, if like the paperwork is signed by the judge, why is the law enforcement not actually following through with a court-signed document? And that's where I don't understand why officials are trying to blow it off, basically, or blow it under the rug, or however you like to say it.
Sweep it under the rug?
Yes, that's what I don't understand.
You see, here in Laredo, there's a pattern. Every time you call a police officer here, they say it's a civil matter. Then when you pursue and you say you insist of having a incident report or an offense report, they come back and they say, well, the DA is not going to prosecute it. Some of them will even tell you they need 10 or 12 consistent reports for them to prosecute it. Well, I found out not. In fact, I was quoted by a police officer recently, because I'm going through and I've gone through the same problems. Is they say, and I can quote the officers, Villarreal, 1195, badge 1195, and basically he said, district attorney does not prosecute these cases, which is totally false. Problem is that the police are failing us. It's like somebody steals, and they say, well, why arrest them if they're not going to prosecute them? It's the same thing. You should arrest them. You're committed a crime, and move forward. The implications of this is dramatic towards the child and towards the parents, especially the parent that wants to see the child. Because usually what happens is they say, he doesn't want to come see the child, he's a deadbeat father. You see, he never comes here. But in all actuality, the father's trying to see the child. The father's paying child support. The father's trying to visit their children, but they're not allowed to see them. So a story spun off, and a lot of parents suffer. Later on in time, what we've seen is that a lot of kids that grew up with the parent alienation, they switch sides. They get to know the dad, and all of a sudden, mom is left behind, majority of the time. When did you start seeing this as a pattern?
That's what I was about to say. Just this past time, well, pattern-wise, it's been going on, like I said, for years. She changes my summer vacations because she's out of town. She decides to go out of town this week. But also with my daughter, I've seen that there's a lot of change in her, where she's trying to protect the mother because the mother is in an abusive relationship. My daughter has had to call 911, and I do not hear about any of these things. I ask my daughter, how's everything going, and she says everything's fine. This recent time with the whole corona thing, I was finally able to talk to my daughter. I wasn't able to see her, but I was able to talk to her through phone, and she tells me that her mom doesn't want her to be coming with me because of the whole corona. But it's not it's not my daughter's decision. My daughter is no, Dad, I don't want to go with you because this, or no, Dad, I don't want I can tell what she's saying is based off of what her mother's telling her.
Sure.
And that's exactly what you're saying right now, that my daughter doesn't see this, she doesn't see that, but it's been going on for years.
Absolutely. And people need to understand that right now with this corona, the Texas Supreme Court said that you must follow the decree. Visitations must be enforced. Visitations must be taken seriously. There's a lot of that's going to happen. You know, people are going to say, "No, I don't want you to see your son or your daughter because of the corona." You have to. You have to release them. But if they're not going to be reinforced, these laws, they're not going to enforce these laws, then it's never going to stop. Period. And believe me, it happens to women too. I'm not just talking about women abusing the visitation rights. It's happening to women that do not have their children as well. It happens to the parents that don't have it. So it's not just a men thing, it's the women also. There's plenty of moms out there that are also not allowed to see their children. And this needs to stop because there's a lot of good parents out there that love their kids and they want their kids they want to see them, they want to be part of their lives, and all of a sudden one parent saying, "You're not going to see them," and builds a false narrative of the other one.
Yes.
And that's basically what happened. What would you tell the police right now if you had to tell them something about the penal code being enforced? What would you say?
I was just say for them to follow it. It's just give the parents the rights that they have that are they're court ordered. The parents are trying to be there and they're not doing anything to help. Like you said, the non-custodial parents. It's just something that you need to enforce. You need to have the non-custodial parent be a part of the child's life. If it is an actual code and it is a court order, you need to follow the court orders. You need to follow everything that's done.
Absolutely, absolutely. When is your next visitation with your daughter?
I'm supposed to go on June 12th, and let's see how everything happens. She's already said no, but I'm still going to travel to San Antonio to try to pick up my daughter for my weekend. Because I only get her 1 weekend a month, so I did give her the 2 weeks notice. I'm supposed to be going June 12th, and like I said, let's see how it goes. As of right now, she already did tell me that she's not releasing her. She already said she's not releasing my child to me to 2021.
Really? Okay. You know, that's an abuse right there. So that's an abuse of the whole situation. That's an abuse of the child, because it's actually child abuse for you not to allow your child to see the other parent. I understand that there's some instances that one parent or the other is not a fit parent, but the majority of people that I've seen, they love their children. And the majority of people that I've seen, you hear the spin-off of the tale of the other one, okay? That the person's deadbeat, and it continues, you know? And it's sad, but this is also, how can I say it? Not only does the ex or the mother of the child or the father of the child that's in custody do the parent alienation, their sisters and their mothers and their whole family does the whole alienation as well. They also continue with that, you know, and that's a sad part. Mm-hmm. Have you experienced that?
It's not only towards me that they're doing this. It's not only affecting me. It's my wife has been with me ever since my daughter was 4 months old. So my wife considers my daughter
her daughter as well. Yes.
I have 2 other kids. I have a son that's 7 years old. He misses his sister.
Sure.
He's crying. Like, how come I haven't seen her? So like I said, it's not just her taking my daughter away from me. She's taking it away from everybody else. My mother-in-law loves, like, my whole family. My family, my wife's family, they all love my daughter. They all consider her part of their family as well, because they've all met her when she was so young. So that type of alienation that you're talking about is what she's doing right now, but not only towards me, towards everybody that loves her. They love my daughter, and now because of all this, the way that the mother's being, my daughter has been acting a little bit different, a little bit more distant, but for the reason that she doesn't come so often, so she's not in the lives of the way that she used to be.
Absolutely.
It's just not, like I said, not only affecting me, but it's affecting my daughter as well.
On another note, with taking that, have you ever considered taking full custody of your daughter?
I have actually. I have, and just recently with the previous change, so the previous time that she denied my summer vacation, that I went 2 times in a row to try to pick up my daughter, and when I found out that she's in an abusive relationship with her boyfriend or husband, that my daughter had to call the police herself because she was seeing her mom getting beat. That's when I started to take custody, but it's a difficult situation as far as taking away custody from from the mother. In my situation, they tell me judges are not really it's gonna be very difficult for a judge to take away the child from the mother. Even though I've said everything that I've said, the visitation denials, the abusive relationship, the things about the boyfriend and everything, there are some that can pick up my case, but they really don't want to touch it because they say that the judge is not going to take away a non-custodial. Give the child non-custodial.
You know, and it's sad to say, but the 2 county court judges that we have here, they're basically, they kind of hate fathers, and I would say that openly. And both of them do not really side with the father. So that's something that people need to understand. Both of them kind of are going to do whatever they can in their means to brush the father to one side, even if it's under the law. I've seen it, I've experienced it, I've seen it with others. It's interesting what we have here, that culture that we have there of the judges. But that is a good understanding. What gets me now is your decree is here in Webb County. So is there any way you can get the paperwork that you're filing over there and submit it to the district attorney here and actually file something against her here with the district attorney? Because the decree is from here.
I've asked, and that's where I guess not even law enforcement really knows what to do with it, because I filed the visitation violation over there in Bexar County, and they tell me I have to file it here in Webb County, and then I file it here in Webb County, and Webb tells me I got to file it in Bexar, and I tell Webb County my paperwork is from here, so it shouldn't be where the paperwork is from, and it's just a back and forth situation. That's why it's so hard for me to get an offense report or even any type of report that's not civil, because I think not even law enforcement knows exactly what to do with it.
No, you're right. So let's see if we can come with a means to an end with this and put a little bit more sanity within what's going on, and let's see what we can do all together in one. But because this right here is a problem that's not only happening to you, it's a problem that's happening to a lot of people, because people move, and all of a sudden you're in one county and the paperwork might be in the other. They should understand the laws. It's still the state of Texas.
Yeah.
They should be taking them. It's not that jurisdiction or that, San Antonio should be understanding that and be enforced in that as well as here in Laredo. But so I think that's something that you might have to follow. You might have to go to the district attorney and say, this is all I have. This is what's going on. And maybe from the district attorney, then they can send them a letter and say, we're going to put a warrant here. And maybe she gets picked up over there and transferred over. I mean, I don't know, but stuff like that needs to happen.
It can happen, yes.
If the fight's always there, and as long as you love your child, you're always going to continue fighting. Okay, I have seen a lot of parents that just give up, boom, and they close themselves down and fall apart, and they kind of ignore everything that exists, and they live, and then they say, you see, but they just, at one time they just broke, and they fell apart. Continue the fight. And there's a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of good associations out there that are doing some great work to mend these problems that are going in here. We have a state representative, Richard Raymond, that passed that law, passed that bill to become a law. It's just the problem is that it's not being enforced. But we will try to gather people together to see what can be done, because this is a problem that happens every weekend. You know, that happens every weekend, really. You know, when there's visitation, people are not being allowed to see their child. What is one of the horror stories that you can explain of what happened to you, and when you went to go visit, and that just became very bad that you don't want others to experience?
Well, there's multiple actually, but the main one would be with this person that she's with. I went for my visitation, and he came out. Well, he had already been sending me messages that I'm not going to see my daughter, that he's a father of my daughter, that I'm just a sperm donor, or anything like that. I get there, he tells me if I get there that he's going to be violent with me or anything like that. Of course, I know the words. So I went ahead and called the Bexar County Police, and they escorted me. He answers the door very aggressive, but it wasn't me, it was the police. Very aggressive, and through all this whole situation, my daughter's there seeing this. I could see her in the back. I still want to give my daughter that visitation, but it's just situations like that I don't like in that case. Other cases, it's just, it hurts when sometimes a child doesn't know that you are trying to do as much as you can for them, and they hold something against you, or they start acting different towards you when you are trying to do everything that you possibly can to be part of their life. So that is one thing that I've noticed with my daughter. She has become very distant, even with me, with my wife, and she keeps on mentioning words and quotes and everything that is obviously taught to her by her mother. So it's just situations like that I wouldn't like any parent to be going through, the difference.
No, you're absolutely correct. And sometimes these situations they escalate. And in a lot of cases, the police arrests the father that's going out there, or the parent that's going out there to visit the child or pick up the child. And they arrest them because they come out and they say that the person was being violent. Look at him being here. And they arrest them. And that abuse has to stop, period. There has to be a little bit more control about the whole situation that goes on. And I'm sorry that you've gone through this. And for any parent out there, there is help. You know, give us a call, 956-414-868. We'll direct you to some other organizations that deal with problems of this nature. Fathers rights associations. There's equality, parental equality associations. There's an interference with child visitation, Penal Code 25.03 association out there. There's many out there. But remember, the child is the important thing. The child is the main thing, the precious thing. That should be it. So both of you should be working for that. It should not be a bickering and fighting. Maybe the wife the ex doesn't like you, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. It's a child. So you all have to come down and put your emotions aside and work together for the benefit of the child. You're always going to see them eventually. They're going to graduate high school, or she's going to graduate high school. Guess what? You're going to be there as well. You have to just bite your tongue and just say hi, and forget about what happened in the past. Because if you hold that anger, you're pushing that anger into your child, and you're affecting your child's life, right? So I want to thank you. Let's keep the fight going forward.
Thank you very much.
And folks, if you guys are suffering through this and going through this, there is help. And together, we, as a unit, as parents that have gone through this, we're going to see some major changes in the near future. Till next time, peace.
Gloves Off is always on point. On point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by the best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off.